There is no end to Chinese provocations at LAC. Despite ongoing military talks, India today has now learned that Chinese troops attempts multiple intrusion. They attempted multiple intrusion attempts along the line of actual control, but if it was thwarted by the Indian troops. Sources said that on August 31st, the Chinese attempted an intrusion in Blacktop and Helmet Top. However, Indian forces deployed at the heights stopped the Chinese from advancing and shouted at them using megaphones. The Chinese were trying to use darkness to creep up on Indian positions, but the alert Special Frontier Forces and Army dissuaded the Chinese from advancing. In another intrusion attempt, the Chinese troops tried to transgress into Indian areas in the general area of Chumur. Sources said around 7 to 8 heavy vehicles of the Chinese army set off towards the Indian side of the line of actual control from their Chepuzi camp. In reaction, the Indian security forces also deployed their personnel and vehicles to prevent any intrusion, forcing the Chinese side to flee.
The line of actual control is on the boil. Tension is rising, but this time it's China that's on the back foot. India has the Chinese on the defensive after preemptive action following intelligence reports and inputs about Beijing planning another intrusion. The army mobilized the Special Operations Unit to join Jawans of the Sikh Light Infantry and elite troops of the Vikas Regiment who were already deployed near the southern bank of the Pangong Tso. Anti-tank guided missiles have also now been positioned to neutralize any Chinese armor advance. On the night intervening August 29 and 30, about 200 PLA troops tried to occupy the strategic heights of Kala Top. This would have given the Chinese an upper hand in confrontation even on the south bank of Pangong Tso. But the Chinese were unaware that Indian troops were lying in wait. Challenged by the Indian army, the Chinese troops beat a hasty retreat. In another swift maneuver, Indian troops then occupied the dominating features.
The Chinese provocative military movements were preempted by the Indian army by occupying certain heights and preventing the PLA from establishing a foothold on the southern bank of Pangong Tso, which has led now to the Chinese allegations against the Indian armed forces that they have transgressed the LAC.
Blacktop is one of the most important peaks in this area because from here the entire Pangong Tso region can be monitored. After reclaiming Blacktop, Indian troops removed the Chinese surveillance cameras and equipment installed here by the Chinese.
With the Indian army dominating crucial mountains in the southern bank of the Pangong Lake, it is believed that India will be in a better position to negotiate with the Chinese because controlling heights is extremely important when it comes to tactics. Also, in New Delhi, there have been a series of meetings in the security establishment to decide what the future course of action is going to be and particularly how to negotiate with a stubborn Chinese PLA from here onwards. With Manjeet Negi and camera person Hitesh Abhishek Bhalla in New Delhi for India Today.
Now, amid heightened tensions between India and China and the repeated provocations by the Dragon, talks between the two sides have failed to yield any result. Sources have told India Today that the talks on Tuesday held at Chushul on the Indian side failed to end the ongoing stalemate at the South Pangong. Sources have said that there was no progress and results in talks yet. However, more rounds of talks may be held. Despite talks between the two sides, China has consistently violated the agreed norms and betrayed the Indian side by resorting to provocations. The latest provocations by China were reported from South Pangong Chumur and Despang. Now, south of Pangong So, the area along the line of actual control that is currently simmering is currently dominated by the Indian Army. This is extremely significant as it's part of eastern Ladakh there that saw some of the most crucial battles of 1962 war were fought. Gaurav Sawant explains to us.
Seeing the Chinese army advance towards the area south of Pangong So, Indian forces quickly deployed troops not only to intercept the Chinese but also occupy higher ground in a part of eastern Ladakh that saw some of the bloodiest battles fought in 1962. Chushul in southeastern Ladakh, south of the Pangong Lake, was and remains a key defense area for the protection of the road to Leh. Therefore, occupation of Rezangla on one side and of Gurung Hill and Magar Hill on the other side, overlooking the Spangur Gap to keep an eye and interdict the Chinese was extremely important. These areas saw some of the fiercest battles of 1962 as 124 brave soldiers of the Charlie Company of 13 Kumaon, led by Major Shaitan Singh, fought almost to the last man and last bullet to stall the advance of an entire Chinese brigade.
Indian Army has captured strategic heights on the southern part of Pangong So Lake. These heights have immense tactical and strategic significance, as whoever holds these heights not only would dominate the southern part of Pangong So Lake, but will also dominate by fire and observation Chushul town, Chushul airstrip, as well as the defense fortifications of India.
The main threat to Chushul was through the Spangur Gap, a kilometer-wide break in the mountains along the line of actual control, some 15 kilometers away. The Chinese had incidentally built a road from Rudok in Tibet to the Spangur Gap in 1962 itself. And this road was linked directly to China's crucial artery G219 connecting Xinjiang to Lhasa in Tibet. The army had even in 1962 deployed AMX-13 tanks at the base of Gurung Hill.
One of the most important aspects of high altitude warfare is domination of heights. When you dominate a height, you're able to look into the enemy territory. You can see the enemy posts, you can see the enemy logistic bases, you can actually also bring down targeted fire onto the enemy military equipment also. So whoever occupies the height gains a very tactical and strategic advantage in that area.
The army's move to quickly deploy and occupy the Blacktop Peak in Ladakh is not only tactically brilliant but also strategically extremely significant. This is one of the highest peaks in the area and can dominate the Chinese side for several kilometers. This height dominates the Spangur Gap, Magar Hill, Gurung Hill, and keep an eye on the Chinese movement in Moldo up to Yula, keeping an eye on any Chinese movement and activity coming down from the Chinese highway G219. This perhaps is the reason why China is so extremely upset with India's brilliant military maneuver. With cameraman Kripal Singh in Delhi, Gaurav Sawant for India Today.
Now, cutting across to Sushant Singh Rajput's death probe, the Narcotics Control Bureau team in Mumbai has intensified its probe there into possible drug angle in Sushant Singh's case after the NCB arrested two drug peddlers, Karan Arora and Abbas, red-handed with drugs from Mumbai. They've now arrested a third drug peddler who allegedly supplies drugs to Bollywood. This third peddler has spilled the beans. During his grilling, he has claimed his links to Rhea's brother Shawik. India Today has learned that following this, Rhea's brother Shawik will be grilled soon by the NCB. Amid these arrests, national-level billiards player Rishabh Thakkar has been grilled by the Enforcement Directorate for a marathon 8 hours on Tuesday. ED team will now probe Rishabh and his circle of friends to ascertain if Rhea bought any contraband from them. Heat on Goa-based hotelier Gaurav Arya by the ED also there intensifies. After his questioning last evening, ED has scanned and cloned Arya's phone for clues regarding any communication that he may have had related to narcotic drugs.
The Enforcement Directorate probing Rhea Chakrabarti and her alleged links to people dealing in banned narcotic substances have found another lead. Rishabh Thakkar, a national level snooker and billiards player, has been summoned and he was questioned by the Enforcement Directorate regarding a particular transaction that he had with another person and a message where he is told the another person that bring money and collect your contraband. Rishabh Thakkar and Rhea Chakrabarti were part of a WhatsApp group where discussion regarding banned narcotics drugs had happened. Thakkar could be summoned again while Gaurav Arya, the Goa-based hotelier, was questioned for almost 9 hours. Gaurav Arya has denied all allegations and has told Enforcement Directorate officials that he has never supplied or dealt in drugs. With camera person Kiran Sapkal, this is Divyesh Singh in Mumbai for India Today.
Now, probe into Sushant Singh Rajput's case intensifies further. Central Bureau of Investigation has summoned Rhea's father once again today. He was quizzed along with Rhea's mother for a marathon 9 hours yesterday. Rhea's parents were primarily quizzed on Rhea's relationship with late actor Sushant. The top probe agency asked them on whether Rhea discussed Sushant's mental health with them and whether they knew that she was living in with Sushant. As the CBI grills various parties in the case, India Today has learned from CBI officers who are part of the probe team here that they are yet to find any evidence there suggesting that Sushant may have been murdered.
Over 75 days after Sushant Singh Rajput died in his Bandra flat, the CBI is leaning towards the suicide theory. 3 CBI officers who are part of the probe team have separately confirmed to India Today that so far they've not found any evidence to suggest the Bollywood star was murdered. The investigation still remains open though. The CBI officers are now focusing on the suicide angle and are examining if a case can be made out for abetment to suicide. The elaborate reconstruction at the scene of death by the CBI's forensics team had earlier shown that suicide was possible.
The next key element in the probe is going to be the report which will be submitted by the AIMS doctor on the autopsy and viscera report of late actor Sushant Singh Rajput.
The CBI on Tuesday questioned Rhea Chakrabarti's parents for the first time. They were questioned on a range of topics, including how many times they had met Sushant Singh Rajput and if Rhea had discussed Sushant's mental health issues with them. Rhea, who has been interrogated for over 35 hours over 4 days, was not called on Tuesday. But her brother Shawik was questioned for the 6th consecutive day. Meanwhile, the investigation into Rhea's possible drug link too has widened. Goa-based hotelier Gaurav Arya, whose WhatsApp chats with Rhea had surfaced, was grilled by the Enforcement Directorate for a second time. Sources say Arya has denied the allegations. They say he claims Rhea spoke to him casually about drugs, but he didn't entertain her.
Gaurav Arya's lawyer Manu Sharma has claimed that all the allegations levelled against him are baseless and they would soon release a statement regarding the same. Also, Narcotics Control Bureau has started their crackdown and 2 persons have been detained by Narcotics Control Bureau who were dealing in doobies which were found in WhatsApp chats of Rhea Chakrabarti with others. There are sources from NCB who are telling us that the 2 detainees who are being interrogated by Narcotics Control Bureau could be probed for their links with Rhea and her brother Shawik Chakrabarti. With Arvind Ojha and camera person Kiran Sapkal, this is Divyesh Singh in Mumbai for India Today.
Sushant Singh Rajput's medical records accessed by India Today has spoken exclusively to the chemist who sold medication to Sushant Singh Rajput in October 2019 and January 2020. The medicines Lonazep for depression and Daxid for anxiety were sold to Sushant in October 2019 on prescription of psychiatrist and Dr. Nikita Shah. This is not all. India Today has also accessed an invoice from January 2020 in the name of Sushant Singh Rajput. The medicines brought on the prescription of psychiatrist Dr. Kesri Chavda are Ativan for anxiety and trouble sleeping, Qutipin for bipolar disorder and schizophrenia and depression as well, melatonin for insomnia and Modalert for extreme sleepiness due to sleeping disorder, and even Etilam for anxiety and insomnia. These medical bills dates to a time when Sushant was staying at Capri Heights building in Bandra West before shifting to Mont Blanc residence, where he was found dead on the 14th of June. Let's take a listen to what the chemist told us.
There's a lot been said about mental illness of actor Sushant Singh Rajput. We are at a chemist shop in Bandra West, and from here, medicines for Sushant Singh Rajput used to purchased. Now we have with us the owner of this chemist shop, Suresh Solanki sir. Thank you so much for talking to India Today. Sir, how many times the medicines have been purchased from your chemist shop, and what all the medicines were?
Just what I've told you, okay, Sushant Singh, when he used to stay in a Pali Hill, 1701 Capri Height, we had 102 prescription from him. That is first dated on the 31st October 2019, where the doctor had been prescribed by Nikita Shah, and the second one, what we have another prescription by Dr. Kesri Chavda on the 10th of January 2020. The same medication has been continued related with the anxiety, sleep disorder, and the mood freshness.
So till the time he was at the Capri Heights, the medicines have been taken from your shop only. So who used to come to take these medicines? If you can slightly tell us about who used to come and how the payment was done.
Basically, Saurabh, this is the medicine has to buy, his driver and staff is to come to buy the medicines. So it is given with the prescription, with the staff, they used to come, and the driver is to come, and we used to honor the prescription and we to give them.
Sushant Singh Rajput's medical records access to India Today has exclusively spoken to the chemist. We heard what the chemist, of course, said, that Sushant's driver usually came by to take up medicines. In fact, they honored the prescription that was given as well. Now, quickly cutting across to backlash there. Centre, in a strongly worded letter to Facebook, has said that it has become the latest tool being used to create internal divisions and disturbances by vested groups. The letter, written by Union IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad to Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, says that Facebook employees are on record abusing the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and senior cabinet ministers while still working and managing important positions in India. The minister also asserted that in the run-up to 2019 general elections, there was a concerted effort by Facebook India and the management to delete pages of people who are supportive of the right of centre ideology. The Congress, on the other hand, has alleged a nexus between the BJP and Facebook. Congress MP Rahul Gandhi on Tuesday claimed that international media had already exposed Facebook's brazen assault on India's democracy and social harmony. He also demanded a probe into allegations. Meanwhile, representatives of Facebook there will today appear before Standing Committee on IT on the issue of misuse of social online news media platforms.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.